Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to give you guys a spoiler-free review of David Lowery's newest movie, The Green Knight. The Green Knight is about King Arthur's headstrong nephew and how he embarks on a daring quest to confront the Green Knight, a mysterious giant who appears at Camelot. Risking his head, he sets off on an epic adventure to prove himself before his family and court. Before we get any further into the review, if you guys are new in here and you haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure to do so and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or I go live. Both always need more time. Let's get right into it. So I want to start off with the good of this movie. And now the main thing that I think is really good and that makes this movie stand out from the rest of the movies is the story. The story is so unique, and that's because it's so uniquely told. It's told through words, obviously, but it's also told visually. The visuals in this movie are an absolute spectacle. The best moments of this movie are when there are little to no words. They tell great stories. They tell great emotions. They explore so many different things with no words, and that's what I love so much about this movie. And honestly, that's why I think this movie is so unique. Like I said before, I think this movie really takes medieval to a whole nother level. If you guys don't know, Sir Gawain or Gawain, I don't know specifically how to pronounce it. Sir Gawain, I think that he is a great character because of his story that's told in the poem of The Green Knight. And this movie does such a great job of putting those poem words into a visualizer. This movie really relies on visuals more than verbal words. Like it really blows my mind how well told this story is, especially in moments of just visuals. The last 20 minutes of this movie might have 5 sentences total, and I absolutely love it. This has to be the best looking movie of 2021 in my opinion. Overall, it just really blew me away. Not just the size of these set pieces, but everything just looks real to me, and I think it is real. The budget on this movie had to be insane. It really felt like I was there in the moment with Dev Patel's Sir Gawain. I was there with the Green Knight in his castle. I was there everywhere. I felt like I was actually immersed into this medieval time world, and that's what I think a lot of medieval movies don't really do for me. There's an upcoming medieval based movie called The Last Duel. That movie really intrigues me because it gives me vibes of The Green Knight. It feels like it's going to immerse me into that world, and that's the type of movies I'm really excited to start seeing from now on, because honestly I've been really hesitant to see medieval type of movies because I've never really been into them. I never really feel like I'm immersed into the worlds, but this movie visually and verbally really made me feel like I was part of that world. But moving on, the acting. Dev Patel puts on an absolutely insane performance. In my opinion, this is his best performance of his career so far, along with Alicia Vikander. She was awesome in this movie. She actually played 2 different characters, and she did a great job playing both. I will say the second character was a little bit iffy, just because I wasn't really sure of that character's position in the story. But other than that, I loved Alicia Vikander in this movie as well. But I do want to go back to Dev Patel. Dev Patel really blew me away with this performance. He really transformed into this knight trying to prove himself, and I think that his demeanor in this movie really pushed this movie really high up. I know I just said really like 3 times, but it really does immerse you into the movie. Dev Patel's performance is one of the key factors, along with the visuals and the writing, that really immersed me into this medieval world, and that's what I really like about this movie. Now, one thing about this movie that I'm still a little bit iffy on, which I personally still have more positives than negatives for, is the pacing. It's definitely weird. It's split into chapters, and then the chapters get longer as it goes on, but personally I love that style. Personally, I thought it was really great. I'm still trying to wrap my head around why they did that, because I'm not too fond of the poem. If you guys are, good for you. I've never actually read it. I think that's a great way for a movie's pacing, but I just think towards the end it feels a little bit weird, because the beginning of the movie felt like it was moving so fast, and then the end just slows down until obviously the final act, where I said we have barely any dialogue for about 20 straight minutes, but it's all worth it. So I think the pacing really just builds up throughout the entirety of the movie, when it starts really fast but just slows down, and then right when that final part of the movie hits, it just goes off, and everything feels like it's so worth it, at least to me. You guys might not like the payoff, so once you see this movie, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. But moving on, I want to talk about Sir Gawain's character. I think this character is my favorite movie character of this year so far. This movie, like I said before, is based off of a book, and this movie doesn't have a classic movie ending, and that's my favorite part about it. When it ends, it just ends. There's no really like massive payoff or anything like that like basic movies have nowadays. And I'm not saying having a movie payoff is not good. Like obviously a movie's supposed to have a payoff, but this one doesn't feel like it has a massive grand scale movie payoff. It feels like it's a character payoff, and this movie doesn't feel like a massive medieval story. It feels like it's a story about Sir Gawain, and and that's what I specifically like. I think it tells us more of a character-driven story about a character learning and then figuring out what he did wrong, seeing what he could have done better. All of those aspects really make me love the movie in terms of Sir Gawain's character. And honestly, I think that the themes of this movie really do line up with Sir Gawain because, like I said before, this movie doesn't feel like it's a big scale movie, even though it is. It feels like it's a character story surrounded by a big world. I think that's what makes this movie so special. Following the idea of him finding new things and him proving to himself that he's worthy, that he wants to create a legacy, that he wants to go down in history, and he sees his futures and he sees what he can do, and he's too selfish, and that's what I like about this movie. It focuses on Sir Darwin's themes. It focuses on those smaller aspects of things, those more, I guess, underground, the more underlying themes that we never really think of when we look at a medieval story. And I like that this movie really pointed those out. But now I want to move on to the bad of this movie. Now, there's really not much bad. I will say there's one bad thing that I thought was bad in the beginning, but now I think is actually really good. I think in the beginning of the movie, we shift from one December to the next December. It says like 1 year later or 1 year henceforth or something like that. And I thought at first, I was really like, I wish we got to see more of its Dev Patel's character's transformation over that year marking. I really wish we saw that time and see how all the characters change over time. But in reality, I'm kind of glad we didn't waste time with that, and I'm glad that we didn't waste our time on unnecessary character development when we got enough character development on the journey. But moving on to the rest of the bad, like I mentioned before, the pacing, I said that was a good thing, but there's also a slight negative side. I definitely feel like it's very, very slow at times. There's times where the visuals take over, like I said before. There's no big dialogue moments or anything like that, but sometimes they just drag on for a little bit too long. And yes, this is me nitpicking because there's not much else bad about this movie. Some other stuff, I definitely want to see more scenes with Sir Gawain, and there's a talking fox in this movie. I wish we got to see more scenes with them. And the final bad thing is I just wish we got to see more time with the king, and by king I mean Sir Gawain's uncle that we see in the first December part of the movie. I wish we got to see more of their relationship, but honestly, other than that, that's the only like bad stuff I have to say. So my final take for this movie is that this movie is built around Sir Gawain's quest to prove that he will create a legacy for all to admire, but his idea of self-centeredness gets the best of him. The film ends with a near dialogue-less montage, a visual poem of what his future holds, but at the end, the Green Knight, Sir Gawain, and the director all realize that being a knight isn't about killing and defeating, but about morality and selflessness. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. This is in my top 3 movies of 2021 so far. Let me know how you guys like The Green Knight in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.